All right, 22 minutes. Let's see here. We are on aggressive. So, hard times happen and society falls apart, right? And we talked about the passive aggressive, and now we'll talk about the aggressive. So, what do we mean by aggressive, right? So society falls apart, and men start killing each other for access to more food and resources, or for more access to women, right? And it's like in our times we would might say it's a dog eat dog world. Even though dogs don't eat dogs. Dogs are like seriously the most stupid and cowardly creatures out there. Like nobody sees it. Um, and there's some dogs who, are not cowardly, but they're certainly stupid. So, um, but like dog eat dog, and like people just start killing each other. So this event happens. Like the space dinosaurs invade Earth, and this one particular society has everyone just killing each other. Um, Now, um, but why are they killing each other, right? So from here we're gonna go to doop, doop, doop. Okay, there it is. From here, from aggressive, we're gonna go to protective and predatory. I mean, if you're talking about a society that has no morals, right? Let's say you're living in a society that has no morals, then maybe an aggressive protective stance would be good, right? Because again, we're talking about society, and society could be any of these things, as we'll get into later. Anyways, so like it depends on the society that you're living in, right? If you're living in a society where there are no morals for whatever reason, right? Um, then maybe a protective stance, because again, like we're talking about hard times, fall apart, and aggressive, right? So you might automatically think, oh, aggressive is bad, but if we're talking about a protective aggressiveness, because you're trying to protect, and there's a lot of bad characters out there, then this would, might mean a good thing, right? Actually, I think later on we're going to get into why that could be a bad thing. But right now in this discussion, oh no, we are going to get into it, right? Predatory good, predatory bad. Don't I repeat myself here? Yeah, pervert or not a pervert. Predatory good or bad. So I will repeat myself up here again when I say pervert or not a pervert. So modern underground bunker. So maybe I was thinking about something else. Protective. I mean, for now, I guess you know what we can just say. What are we gonna say? Protective. Um, I mean, it comes down to intent. Like, what's your intent, right? So we're getting down into the depths of it all. What's your intent? You know, is your intent maybe that? I don't know. I mean, what's your intent for being protective? I mean, we know that there's you know, some characters in this world who like they'll go out of their way to do things for others, but they start to, you know, add up a list of favors, right? And you know, they a lot of times sometimes people help others in order to gain advantage over them. Um, that's just the reality of it, right? So, I mean, you could go around. So it's just like you could go around and like, oh, I'm doing this for the good of everything, oh, right? But like, not, right? Because why did you kill this other man? Like, what was your motivation? Was this truly a bad character, right? So it's like one, you have a man going around trying to defeat bad characters. And you have another who's saying he's trying to defeat bad characters when he's not. Okay, so now we're going into aggressive, right? And and you know, so you have these hard times hit, and society falls apart, and you have this all this aggressiveness, right? And so from here, we'll go down to there, and so okay, 8 minutes in. Let's see. So, like, think about the Walking Dead, right? You have these this small group of people who are going around really destroying different societies within this post-apocalyptic world. Now, of course, you can say anytime they killed cannibals, they're the heroes, right? But, I mean, their attitude certainly was, this is our group, and you are your group, right? But, like, before all this happened, they were all the same group, right? So we're talking about societies falling apart. And so this is division within division within division within division, which is division, right? And instead of, right, again, we're talking about coming together or falling apart, and we're talking about aggressiveness, and sometimes like if like let's say it happened in our day, right? Let's say the space dinosaurs do attack, and the astronomers just Like you always have that movie scene where the astronomers are the first ones to find out, right? And like maybe they just dropped the ball, all of them, right, all at once, and these space dinosaurs come from behind the sun and just hit us. And I mean, I think in the United States, I think you would definitely have this dog eat dog mentality, which is a very sad thing. But I think the United States would probably tear itself apart for resources, instead of coming together. But coming together means we're going to have to share the resources, though we may go through some starvation before we get to the other side, if we get to the other side. Right? So it's there's this vulnerability in a situation like this where people either have to work together and suffer together or kill each other for the last scraps. And I think we could, we could say that if this happens, right? If hard times happen and people fall apart and people start killing each other, I think we could definitely say that if this happens, if they do start killing each other, one of the causes, right? Because this is a fucking diagram right here, right? And we're talking about cause and effect and species and genus and shit. If this happens, one of the reasons could be that the culture, right? The culture. Oh wait, yeah, no, we're in blue. Good. The culture is either bad or good, right? Okay, there it is. Culture, bad or good. Now, this one would be hard to explain to all you idiots out there. But this one is obvious, right? The culture is bad. And so people don't have any true bonds with each other, right? Bad behavior, maybe you could say, is being promoted. Now, if hard times hit, society falls apart, people get aggressive, but the culture is good, what would be happening there? Right? And I think I get into this at one point. I'm in my own light right now. No, I do get into it now. There it is. So the culture is good, but there's a lot of spies and saboteurs. And the spies and saboteurs cause confusion, and this confusion results in tragedy. So boom, there it is. Okay, there we go. 14 and a half minutes in. Let's see here. Okay, culture and religion and law switched. Complexity. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that let's say there's hard times, they fall apart, and there's aggressiveness, right? Well, here I'm talking about culture. And I'm talking about motivation, right? But you could easily take religious and put this into the aggression chain. You could take culture and put this into the passive aggressive chain. You could take laws and put this into the aggressive chain. But there's so many different laws that we could talk about. There are so many different cultural styles that we could talk about. There are so many different religious iterations that we could talk about, right? And so, like, what I'm trying to say is that this diagram is not real, right? Each society, what I think, each society is almost like an individual, right? Now, I think I'm gonna definitely do this one point, talk about video games, but we can put it in right now too. We are talking video games. And so, yeah, I'll just put it in now. I mean, it's like if you're making a video game and you're making a society, right? What type of society are you going to make, right? And I think there's all this complexity to society because if you switch one dial, because we're talking about like, and here's another more complexity, and I think I may be jumping the gun here, but again, this diagram's not real. So we go down, let's just randomly go down here to incompetent religious and bad religious. You could have both in one society to one degree or another. That's why this diagram is not real. It's just an attempt to understand the reality of it all. But if you want to go into the complexity of the programming, then, you could have, 60% bad religious and 40% incompetent, right? And, or maybe throw in 10% good, right? So there's this complexity to each society. And so if this event were to happen, each society would be impacted in different ways, right? And we're only talking one point of view here, obviously. But yeah, this, like, if you're trying to program a society into a video game, and like, here's the thing, it's like, what are the type of characters in each of these societies, right? And I think that's one of the fascinating, amazing things about stories and about world creation, because there's all these different tweaks to the algorithm that you could make, and what are the type of characters within each of these stories. Anyways, we're getting close to a cutoff point. Spies and saboteurs, switched, complexity, come together. I think this is a good cutoff point. Yeah, we'll continue this later because I only have 3 minutes left.